care about your rationalization, okay? You got to pick one. And you know why you got to pick one? Because I get one. Who else am I going to pick, Pablo? Well, it's been 22 years since he won the Masters, and it's still been that one. So, you pick Jason Day. You bet on the wrong horse.
I do have to say, I was surprised by how many Asians were in that final round. Tony Finau, Ricky Fowler's like 116.
Here we go.
Sanders Schauffele.
Here we go, stretching that definition of Asian again. What's
diaspora, the Asian diaspora.
Yeah, when you want it to be.
But our first name is, in fact, Tiger Woods.
Does Vijay Singh count?
That's what not enough time right now. But the man captured his first Masters in 14 years, Bo. So what was your reaction watching this thing?
Hey, man, first of all, let us not be greedy, okay? We got this one. You have to remember that when Jack Nicklaus won the Masters in 1986, it had been 11 years since he'd won the Masters. He was 46 years old. Tiger Woods is now 43. He's 14 years removed from the last time he had won that tournament. Nicklaus was 6 years removed from the last time he'd won a major. Tiger's 11 years removed from the last time that he won a major. This was amazing to watch, and it was a reminder of kind of what it used to be, I suppose, because I was there. I watched every single bit of it. It was like, I guess we got to get delivery to eat. And when he won, it felt great, in spite of the fact that I don't even like that dude that much.
Well, that's the crazy thing. I had my phone out taping the television like this was a moon landing. I don't even know why I was doing that. All I know is that Tiger Woods is so famous. When we talk about what do we feel about him, let's just start with the fact that this guy is famous like they were in the 2000s. Back before our attention spans were all dissected, back before social media, this guy was the #1 TV show, and for a day, like we brought MASH back, it was as if our favorite TV show was here again, and we just reveled around that like we just don't do for many things.
But it's even past just like our favorite TV show, because the one TV show that exists in golf is the Masters. Like, this is the one tournament that people who don't care about golf or anything else are going to watch no matter what. It is immaculately branded. It is a wonderful television experience. All of that. And it almost helps that, like, the opposite of green is red, right? That red jumps off all the green that you get when he's out there and he's rolling. But for him to do this at the Masters, where no one man should have all the power that he has had, where so much was done really to try to stop him from winning there. And after he got himself in trouble with his malfeasances, they did so much to wag their fingers and try to push him down at the opportunity that they had. He came up and he got him right there on that course they don't want him to win at. And I know not everybody finds that to be the joy of it, but that's the happiest part of it for me.
It was delightful. Jim Nantz and his ASMR dulcet tones narrating a guy who is, uniquely I think, both David and Goliath. We don't have guys like this very often. Guys who are clearly #1 when they have their full strength, and also 674th, which was where he was when the bottom fell out of this. A guy with 4 back surgeries, 4 knee surgeries, a guy that could make everybody, whether you rooted for the underdog or you're rooted for truly transcendent greatness, he satisfied everybody. We had Obama and Trump congratulating him at the same time. That does not happen very often either.
Yeah, it should be noted, though, like when we look at what this is for Tiger, you talk about the bottom falling out. The bottom falling out was that he got hurt. Like, there are these two separate things that happened. One, he suffered an amazing level of humiliation almost 10 years ago, and his body fell apart. The guys that have won multiple majors on both sides at 35, that list is 2 people, Jack Nicklaus and Gary Player. Like, for him to do anything on the other side of 35 would be pretty damn impressive, even if we didn't get caught up in all of his business, right? Everything we get from this point is gravy, but it's easy for us to put it in the context of the bottom falling out, because we want badly to associate this with his personal problems. We badly want to put it in that place, because that is what allows the general public, for the one time they've ever had, to look at Tiger Woods and say, you know what? We're a little bit better than you, buddy. And we like our redemption stories to be him overcoming that. That's not what he overcame.
No.
He overcame his body. He is playing golf at a top-notch competitive level with fused vertebrae. Ain't too many people who have done that, if any at all.
No, the perspective we got on Tiger, I think, was on, man, is this guy really the villain that he was made out to be? And I would say that, no, we found out that there are way worse villains in sports. He doesn't really rank when you really put him on the moral scale like that. But we also got the perspective of a guy who was dealing with his old age. And we have this video from a press conference in which he was laughing and joking and also being a little vulnerable.
He could have had more drama than what we all had out there, and now I know why I'm balding.
Yeah, let me explain something to you there, Tiger. We've been watching this for a long time. You were balding when you were winning. This stress is not what's making your hair fall out. It's been time for you to come home. Look at that. He look like Bundini Brown.
He does.
Does he even know who Bundini Brown is?
I am rooting for him to do all the things you said he's unlikely to do, though. I am the unrealistic guy who wants this man to be as dominant as he ever was. I don't care if it's completely improbable.
The word is greedy. You're being greedy.
I am absolutely greedy.
Just take it in stride if he comes up short. That's all I'm saying.
I just want more.
Greedy. Next name is the Sixers. Philly dropped game 1 of their series with the Nets after missing 22 of their 25 three-point attempts, getting only 9 points for Ben Simmons. So Pablo, how concerned should the Sixers be after losing game 1?
It's so uniquely miserable to root for this Sixers team, Bo. We were watching them lose to the Celtics last postseason, and you fast forward a year, and I'm going to spotlight Ben Simmons here, even if Jimmy Butler was fantastic, 36 points. I spotlight Ben Simmons because Ben Simmons is exactly the player he was last year. He has not improved. He does not scare anybody in the Eastern Conference. He is complaining about the fans booing him. And guess what? They should boo you because you have not evolved your game in any way as to avoid circumstances like the one that befell your team this weekend.
But it doesn't matter if his game has evolved in any way. I'm sure it's evolved in some way. He can't shoot, right? Like, we can talk, like, there's no need to put this in any grand terms or all this stuff, whether he's improved or not. He can't shoot. And I wondered all the way through last season, when's it going to matter the fact that this guy can't shoot? And now it's come up because once you get to the playoffs, and they're just going to look at you and be like, oh, well, you can't shoot. Now, you add to that the fact that Embiid is dealing with knee tendonitis, which, I mean, this is a thing, right?
Oh,
this is not like something that's going to end his career or anything like that, but it's going to stick around with him for the entirety of the postseason, when he plays, if he plays, all of that. That means the ball needs to be in Jimmy Butler's hands, but if the ball is in Jimmy Butler's hands, Ben Simmons is useless, but you can't put the ball in his hands because he can't shoot.
These pieces don't fit, and they have fantastic personalities, big personalities across the board, but the pieces don't fit. And we saw them not fitting when the Brooklyn Nets. We were at a party not too long ago in which a couple of Nets were there. We weren't entirely sure which Nets they were, but I'm pretty sure Karis LeVert and Spencer Dinwiddie, who lacerated the Sixers defense over and over alongside D'Angelo Russell, were there, and we should all know who they are because they are the perfect matchup for this team. Guys who will pick and roll you to death, guys who see those bigs in Embiid and Boban and say, oh, you want to give us space for a mid-range jumper? We'll do that. You want to give us space to cut right to the basket? We'll do that too. They were dominant, and I don't know how you stop that backcourt.
Do the pieces for the Sixers not fit, or can Ben Simmons not shoot? Right? How much better do those pieces fit if Ben Simmons can shoot? Like, yeah, there's the issue that you want to have room to go to the basket, but Joel Embiid is going to be inside. But the biggest part with their big problem with their parts is they got a dude who needs the ball in some way to be effective, but he cannot shoot. And then they wound up with this other thing that wound up happening where Amir Johnson had to fall on the bench. People got real charged up about the fact that Amir Johnson had his fallen on the bench. Embiid said after the game that Johnson was checking on his sick daughter. Okay.
But then that sort of fell apart. No one brought that up again, and Amir Johnson apologized. Amir Johnson, by the way, wasn't active for the game. He was just a guy on the bench with a phone in his pocket. But I did not care about this. Did you care about this in the way that people seem to care about this?
Okay, look, there's only one person that should have cared about this, and that was Brett Brown, who after the game, it was very clear that he cared about it, and he should have. The rest of us, no big deal. Brett Brown is like, I don't command respect from my players. And guess what? He doesn't really command respect from his players. And guess what? He's going to be out of here if they lose in this series. And he should be out of here if they lose in this series.
Can I just point out that we all got on Joel Embiid for looking at his friend's phone? Why did he get in trouble for any of that? And is there any controversy that sports writers have less room to stand on than using your phone at work?
I'll say this. You use that phone while the cameras are on, and whoo, buddy, it will be a problem. Coming up next. Should the Raptors be scared? Pablo looks scared. He should be scared.
High Noon is brought to you by the all-electric Audi e-tron SUV.
This is Charlie.
Hi.
This is Charlie's truck, Hank. Together, they're Charlie's Landscaping.
5 years and counting.
Charlie knows plants, but not much about hiring people to plant them.
Rules, rules, rules.
So she counts on LegalZoom for help with a lot of the legal stuff that's part of running a business.
I have a legal question. They have a legal answer.
She means we helped her incorporate and learn the ins and outs of hiring help. So Charlie and Hank can get back to beautifying yards.
Somebody needs to.
This is Charlie's dream job, and this...
Y'all Tiger look like Bundini Brown these days. Realize some of y'all might not know what this Bundini Brown thing is about. Right there, Bundini Brown. Tell me that's not what Tiger's doing these days.
I was going to say that's like a cul-de-sac, but not really. That's more of just like a freeway.
Tiger, another example of a lesson he just hasn't learned yet. Just because some of your friends can do some things don't mean you can do those things, El Drico. Quote, we know who we are, and this is one game. Said Kyle Lowry after going scoreless on 0-for-7 shooting in the Game 1 loss to the Magic. How much blame do you put on Lowry for this loss?
He gets a bunch of it because he had 0 points and they lost by 3, and it's the Orlando Magic, and you're supposed to be the team that doesn't do stuff like that anymore. But it's sort of so bad that it's good. If he just doesn't score 0 points, I think they win this game. And the fact is, they still have Kawhi Leonard, who was fantastic, so I hope that you regress to the mean in terms of the talent on that team.
They were plus 11 with him on the floor, right? Like, it's pretty simple-minded to only look at this and say, wow, he scored 0 points. He's the reason why they lost the game. When he was on the floor, they seemed to be effective. Now, I know the limitations of using raw plus-minus, but Fred VanVleet, who scored his 14 points, his plus-minus was not nearly as good as Kyle Lowry's was. Maybe, just maybe, they lost that game. This is what I will give Lowry, though. Sometimes you got to look up and realize the shot ain't falling for you, so you don't take the shots.
Part of me also thinks, speaking of Fred VanVleet, that bizarro Fred VanVleet, a.k.a. DJ Augustine, also had kind of the game of his life. And that entire Magic team did as well. They shot 48% from 3, Bomani. I don't think that's going to happen again for this team, and the Raptors, as constructed, if you gave me the opportunity to buy stock in that franchise, I am doing it now. I don't think that Game 1 is going to be the rest of the series.
I would say that bizarro Fred VanVleet is actually Ron Baker, his college teammate, because for the longest, I thought that Ron Baker was Fred VanVleet and vice versa because of their names and what they look like. Now, DJ Augustine is actually bizarro Jameer Nelson because I am not the only person who has not intentionally watched the Magic in 7 years. And I look up and I see that guy wearing number 14, and I'm like, wow, Jameer Nelson is still in the NBA. Oh, wow, DJ Augustine is still in the NBA. When is the last time you, on purpose, turned on to watch the Orlando Magic, and did that game involve Dwight Howard?
That game was the game we just talked about.
I mean, you intentionally turned that game on? Because I think I just flipped over to it. Wasn't the Masters going on at the same time?
A bunch of guys who encounter each other at the same auditions.
We watched that game.
Disappointed for Luke. Said Warriors coach Steve Kerr after the Lakers fired Luke Walton. Just days later, Kings GM Vlade Divac fired his coach Dave Yeager and then hired Luke Walton. So, Bo, are you surprised Walton got hired so soon after losing the LA job?
I would just like to make a note is that if we've learned anything from the Divac tenure in Sacramento is if they want to hire you, maybe, just maybe, you're not as good a coach as you thought you were. Like Luke Walton's in this place where he's like, it's a job, I'll take a job. A roster, the roster is talented. I will go ahead and I will sign up for that. But am I surprised he got a job so soon? I mean, guess kind of, not sure.
But the best defense of Luke Walton is that, as you put it, Murphy's Law applied to the Lakers this year. Everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong, but Luke Walton wasn't really the guy who went wrong. Luke Walton was just kind of there the whole time, and I don't know if you can blame any of that specifically on him, right?
What has he done right since he got that job, right? Like, the best argument anybody has for Luke Walton as coach is it wasn't all his fault, right? Give me something in the affirmative that he has done. He had that job before last year's Murphy Law situation. What did you see to leave you encouraged about him as a coach? Now, again, we'll see this pretty quickly. Sacramento has a team that should make the playoffs next year.
Yes.
They have a young roster that should be improving. If they do not make the playoffs next year, honestly, they should probably fire Luke Walton because he hasn't demonstrated any other place that he is ready right now to be an NBA head coach.
Well, Luke Walton has his great recommendations. Steve Kerr says that he knows as much about basketball as anybody Steve Kerr has met ever. But I caution anybody who thinks that Luke Walton will enjoy this job because you alluded to it earlier. He is now the 10th coach in 14 years under Vlade Divac, and the reason allegedly that Dave Yeager lost that job is because he did not want to draft Marvin Bagley. He wanted Luka Doncic, and then Marvin Bagley and Harry Giles. And Buddy Hield were all wondering, wait a minute, does our coach even like us? And so somehow Vlade Divac comes in and says, I have a solution for you. Get mad at this new person.
Yeah, I wonder who would be the one to leak. Well, actually, that guy wanted to draft Luka Doncic, which, by the way, Bagley could turn out better. Quote, I can control myself. Said Kevin Durant about getting too technicals after tangling with Patrick Beverly. Let's watch.
Let's
As I've said many times, Patrick Beverley looks like a man who's played basketball in lugs many times over. And if you didn't believe it, he's like 6'1", and they got him guarding Kevin Durant.
That's right.
And he was up in Kevin Durant's pocket all game long. Yeah, I mean, by this point, the refs had enough. Like, I mean, I understood exactly where it was that they were coming from. But Pablo, are you buying that KD is in control?
I am buying it because watching that game, Patrick Beverley, like normally I'd say Patrick Beverley kamikazeing his body into Kevin Durant's body and getting them both tossed out. A big win for Patrick Beverley, but this happened because look at the score. Kevin Durant was confident, he felt in control, and look at the reaction from the people around when he gets ejected. They love him, they're cheering for him, high-fiving him in ways that I haven't even seen them react. So KD was doing this on purpose, but he also did apologize just now because it's the playoffs and maybe don't get all these texts.
Well, okay, he laughed. I think that's the clear sign that he was in control there. But the issue that they have there is 7 technical fouls comes with a suspension, and the refs are on edge, right? The refs have had enough of this back talk. They've had enough of this jibber jabber, and the players have had enough of the refs. And the Warriors, like no other team, seem to be at war with the officials. So no, this could turn out to be a problem before too long, but I don't think it's a matter of Kevin Durant not being able to control himself in the face of a guy who can't stop him.
And Kevin Durant has been so good recently. In the last several weeks, he's shooting like 60% from the field. But the thing that I would worry about if I'm the Warriors is we have been burned by this before. It wasn't KD, it was Draymond, but when it comes to them and their postseason aspirations, I also would not be thrilled if I'm Steve Kerr or Bob Myers about how KD got his most recent tech.
Well, as long as he doesn't kick somebody in the crotch like Draymond did. Coming up next, does Russell Wilson want out of Seattle?
Download the High Noon podcast and Bomani's and mine. Pablo keeps trying to get one, and you gotta respect his fighting spirit.
Daddy was at home! Yeah, they're frightened. They're terrified. Oh, how are they ever supposed to believe another word that man says to them?
But also, like, I gotta say, you kind of did ruin it for your dad. Like, regardless of whether we were not gonna...
Maybe they ruined it for him.
Because if they react like that, it is open season to just make fun of this.
Because it wasn't open season already. Like, I was waiting on their permission.
In closing, I would like to thank Raptors big man Serge Ibaka for getting to the bottom of the Kawhi Leonard free agency question. Let's watch.
Bro, are you coming back? Next year?
What type of question is that, though?
It's a question. Because I've been working so hard to make you feel comfortable here with us, so you can stay in for after this season.
So once
and you better, brother.
So once I stay, you ain't gonna do it no more. You ain't gonna make me feel comfortable. Once I come back,
I think I only tried to get you signed. That's it.
Damn, that's sad, man.
No.
I thought we was friends. Dude.
No, come on, man.
But when I said he's getting to the bottom of this, I also meant that he's getting to this. Roll the video, please.
Starving? Good, because today I cooked peanuts pizza.
Oh, nah. That's out. That's out for me, bro. You about to fold it up and just take a bite? This is OD. Let me get a fork or something. Can't really taste it.
Yeah, bro.
The pizza's good, though.
It's good, right?
Yeah.
But what about the peanuts? What did it taste?
Wasn't tender.
Wasn't tender, right?
Not at all.
God bless Serge Ibaka. God bless Kawhi Leonard for trying the food, man. That's what teammates look like, Bobati.
No, not me. I'm not that kind of adventurous.
It's a delicacy.
According to who?
Me, Serge Ibaka, Bill Plaschke.
So this is what you do. Like, you say it's a delicacy as though you have familiar